The purpose of this video is to show you how to do custom Molex connected LED strips for computer usage. I know a lot of people like the RGB. Personally, I don't. I like to do one color. So if I do LEDs in a machine, I like to theme it one color. So usually if the fans have LEDs on them, I'll theme it to the same color as the fans. That's my preference, but this is a simple way to make these LEDs. Typically when you're at Fry's checking out with $60 worth of LED reel in your hand, they're not going to tell you that you can get the exact same LED reel, actually a better LED reel, because typically the ones you can find in stores, they will be 300 LEDs to a 5-meter strip. The ones I order, when I order them, I typically get them for, I typically get 600, so I'll get a 5-meter strip with 600 LEDs, and it'll typically be, I don't usually, it's been a while since I ordered any, because I don't use a lot of it, but I don't think I ever pay more than like $10, $12 shipped for the parts. So that's what these are. These are something called a 3528. They're basically a square, slightly rectangular LED, 3.5 by 2.8 millimeters square. And they come on a reel. And typically they will have a sticky backing. Sometimes I'll have to use glue when I attach them, just because the sticky backing isn't very strong of an adhesive. But sometimes it works. Depends on the surface you're putting it on. And then what I'm doing is using so every time I get like a PC fan and the fan ends up being bad, I snip these and save them for usage for this purpose. So typically I use this one. So the way this works, most of these LEDs that you buy on eBay are going to be straight up 12-volt DC, which obviously, for those of us that know PC electronics, pretty much PCs, power supplies run 12-volt DC. So you don't have to do any strange electronic hookups or anything. You just straight up plug them in and they work. So for those who don't know this, on PC power related items, typically yellow is 12-volt, black is ground, and I believe red is on something like this. Obviously this part it's not, but on your mains, I believe red is typically 5-volt. So in this case, typically we also use red for positive, black for negative. So in this case, as you can see here, red is connected to our positive 12-volt with black connected to our ground. So if you do this right, sometimes I use shrink wrap, heat shrink. What do you call that? Heat wrap? Oh crap, I forget what the stuff's called. But typically I'll use sometimes the heat shrink wrapping. And this one though, I don't think I'll need to, because the way this is going to work, there's going to be so little exposed metal. It probably won't be necessary. So I like to pre-solder the wires. So typically the way I do that is I heat them up. It's not going to take a lot of heat just because they're so small, but I'll heat them up and put the solder on the end. And that makes it so literally all you have to do once you pre-solder the other side is literally just heat it up and they connect and they're good to go. Okay. And then when you look at your LED strip, find a pair of scissors here. Let's do this. Okay, so when you look at the LED strip, I don't think I can get it close enough on here, but when you look at it, one side will have a very small plus and one side will have a very small negative. If you don't have that, you just look down the strip and you'll find somewhere where it's labeled positive and negative. Obviously, positive 12 volt to positive, ground to negative. So I'm just going to cut a small strip. These are, you can actually see the cut points. They have, I don't know if you can see that on the video there, but they have little electronic or metal solder points, and that's where you cut them. And it's pretty obvious where to cut them. I think it even has a little scissor line there too. So I'm going to cut this. You can use scissors, you can use clippers, pretty much anything will do it. So I clip that. And then I pre-solder. I like to pre-solder the ends. That's kind of the hard part here. And then you take these and you line up red positive with positive. Sometimes you gotta bend this around a little. So all you have to do once you've done this is heat up the contact and just push it right in, because there's already solder on your wire, and literally all you have to do is touch it and they both melt and solidify together. And that is pretty much textbook. I could not get it any better than that. Sometimes you'll want to be on the extra cautious, and I'm not going to in this case, but sometimes you'll want to put a little piece of electrical tape or something over it, or even in a pinch, a little drop of super glue will work, and it just gives it enough protection so if it accidentally bumps against, see the way I did this, it's almost perfect. There's almost no exposed metal on this one, but if if you want to be extra careful, you can protect it with any sort of non-conductive material, just to make sure if you accidentally bump it when it's in your PC case, you don't get a short. I have accidentally done that in the past. No guarantees, but typically it turns the computer off. You cut the power, you turn it back on, and as long as the short is gone, nothing's usually damaged. But there's no reason not to be extra cautious either. Okay, so I will grab a computer. This should work as well as any. Always be careful with the soldering iron. Cannot tell you how many times I have grabbed and regretted it. Okay. So, hopefully this has a Molex. There we go. So it should go without saying, but this will work with any computer with Molex plugs. So we'll kill our light here. And once I plug this in, should have good clean light. So turn the computer on, and there it goes. So you have a good clean, well, it's almost a little too bright there, but good clean, this case blue. These are readily available in several different colors. I think I have, I think typically I try to keep it to red, green, or blue. Those are the ones that I order. I also have strips that are this, but they're too wide in white. So it's basically double what you see here. I guess they're called double row, I think. But anyway, I hope that was informative. And I'll go do a little bit of poking around and see what eBay sellers are offering right now. Oh, it is worth noting that typically the ultra cheap ones, there's a few United States based sellers, but typically the ultra cheap ones are going to be from Chinese suppliers. I have ordered tons of these things from Chinese suppliers, and I have never yet had a problem. I mean, $10, $12 isn't exactly what I would call a risk, but I have never actually had a problem. And typically I get them in, I typically receive them within the month. Sometimes it's a lot faster. Sometimes I think they actually airmail them, and I'll receive them sometimes as fast as within a week of ordering, which is really impressive coming from China. But anyway, I hope this has been an informative video on an interesting way to mess around with LEDs.